BEONTVUK for the community, by the community. www.beontvuk.com.
Lal Haweli Restaurant at the heart of Walsall. BBC Welsh Curry Award-winning chef Abul Hussain presents most unique and amazing tawa dishes with many flavours and choices. Eat with your family and friends. A unique dining experience never to be missed. Lal Haweli, a 400-seat capacity restaurant perfect for any small parties and functions. Special seating arrangements for ladies and families with prayer facility inside. Mouth-watering tawa dishes. Join Tawa Festival at Lal Haweli. Lal Haweli, home of Tawa. 1 Midland Road, Walsall.
আইলানা ঘরের শপিং করলানা সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা গো সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা সোনার বাংলার তাজা সবজি মিঠা পানির মাছ বছর ঘুরে সওদা করো আছে মূল্য হ্রাস ওল্ডানার বার্মিংহামে সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটে ঘুরে একবার আসো না সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা গো সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা
সোনালী সুপার মার্কেট লজেস রোড বার্মিংহাম
It's not just about bookkeeping, it's not just about account preparation, it's providing the additional quality on top of the fundamental services that we provide.
First consultation is always free, we don't charge. We want that client to be with us for life, so we will look after them where we can. We want them to succeed. If they succeed, we succeed. That's the way we see it.
SKN Chartered Accountants, your partners for a brighter business future.
Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers across the globe and UK. Very good evening and assalamu alaikum. And we are very happy and delighted to bring back my show, Be a Success, on Beon TV. And we're hopeful that you will enjoy this program. And I'm glad that we've got a wonderful guest with us, Mr. Sueb Jabbar, who's a senior manager in one of the local authorities. Mr. Sueb Jabbar, assalamu alaikum. Okay, welcome to my show, Be a Success. I would like to welcome you on this Be a Success TV show.
Thank you.
And would you like to tell us something about yourself, Sueb Jabbar?
Yes, so I'm originally, my family came originally from Bangladesh. I've lived in Birmingham since I was born here, and I've been a manager in a local authority for 31 years. I have married with 2 grown-up sons, and I'm doing many things, not just working as senior manager, but I'm doing voluntary work as well in the community.
Okay. Thank you. I know, I mean, today's program is about the qualities that are needed for our young people, talented people to become successful. And you know very well that with success comes very trivial and hard work, and many of the time success is something that evolves over the years. It's not a quick success that born in with a golden spoon. No, yes. It's not. And we see success right at the end. Yeah. For example, when we see children doing really well, yes. Children getting good grades in their GCSE, A-levels, and passing their grammar tests, we see, oh, this person done well, this child's done well, but we don't see the amount of effort, the years of dedication that goes with being a success. Yeah. Tell me something. Obviously, as I said, it takes years of dedication. Tell me something about your childhood. What kind of ideas you had of becoming successful? What was the thing that started you off working around being success?
Yeah, well, basically, my parents were a very big influence in trying to make my success. They obviously, my father came to Britain in 1956, and my mother came in 1962. So they've always pushed us, all my brother and my sister, to be successful, both in our studies, but also to actually work hard and achieve. Clearly, you know, they always put a focus on education, because they always knew that if you were well educated, you'll have a better success in finding better jobs and better relationships. So that's one of the pushes for it. The other thing is actually my peers, obviously my cousins, but also other people in the wider community. We're all trying to achieve. There's always a bit of friendly competition, but also to be successful is also to actually make a difference to the community, because it's important that the community, what our success reflects on the community and helps the community in itself. So all those things pushed in order to achieve. And obviously, if you're successful, you feel good about yourself. So that's very important as well.
That's good. I can remember when I came in UK in 1980s, and in those days, success was having a car. Yeah, yes. That was a success, or being able to speak English. That's not a success. Yes. Success has its different definitions.
Correct.
With success, success can be being able to make a cup of tea.
Yes. Yes.
Some of us are boiling an egg. Yes. I don't know if you've tried boiling an egg. When I moved into universities, living away from home, and trying to boil an egg, either you boil it too much, which is very hard and crooked, or you haven't boiled it enough. Yes. It's very soggy. So for me, those days where success was when I was able to boil the egg, or make a nice cup of tea, like your mom does.
Yes.
Yeah, those kind of things. So definition of success can vary.
Yes.
I'm sure my audience will, if they were able to contribute or comment, success to them will be different at a different vary and different moments. Yeah.
Correct.
How would you define with your own experience of success?
Well, I think with success in my situation is actually, first of all, having set goals that I want to achieve and then achieve those goals. So set that goals and working towards those. But other success I would see is that having inspired others as well. So by doing well and by achieving those goals and demonstrating best behaviours, other people have wanted to emulate me. So in many respects, at the moment, I'm actually a mentor for students, undergraduates at Birmingham University. So as I graduate from Birmingham University, they've asked alumni to be mentors to young people. So they select, based on my profile, that this is the person that most I want to be mentored to actually show me how I may be able to get into the world of work, what I should do. So those sort of things count as sort of success for me, and that sort of thing that inspired others to actually do. But also other things, for example, I've been recruited to be a trustee of a charitable organisation known as Community Transport, which provides special needs transport for older people, but also it runs furniture stores. So some of their projects, for example, in the northeast of England, for example, they provide furniture for refugee doctors. So doctors who are refugees but have been employed by the NHS, they need to have their housing, and the project is that. So I'm a trustee of that organisation. They sought me out to be saying that what my qualifications, my background was useful. But I'm also a school governor at a girls' school, Lordswood Girls' School, and my responsibilities are focused on special educational needs. Again, this is because of my background, because I worked for many years in local authority in social care, especially around disabilities. So again, because of my success in working well and efficiently and achieving, objectives within that organisation and within that job, they've actually decided they want me to be in that organisation to help them as well. So those are sort of things I would say sort of define.
Yeah, I mean, you've really touched on a point that myself I'm very much interested in, and it touches my heart with the disability.
Yes.
My work is around. I've worked around disability,
absolutely,
disabled people around and I'm one of the managers for social services, and I know professionally we have met many times,
yes,
and many meetings we've had. One thing about disability, I know in Bangladeshi community there are a number of children and adults who are disabled, and have you come across many Bangladeshi that are disabled that needed support, and how the family has been supported in a way? I suppose the moment of success for those disabled people will be being able to go out into an activity or
absolutely
take part
correct.
in something that makes them smile.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned, interestingly, you mentioned learning how to boil an egg when you were at university. But if you take someone who's got a learning disability, boiling an egg is a major aspect. For us, it may be simple, but how would they boil an egg? How do they intellectually know, heat, when to turn the heat off, of the cooker, put an egg? You need to systematically train them to actually do that simple thing. And success for them is, well, I can now cook a piece of toast. But that means they're now independent. So now they're no longer dependent. So that's fine when they're like 6-year-olds and their mother's making toast for them. But when they're 36-year-old, mother can't keep making, she's going to get older, she needs to have, so the fact that person can make their own toast means they're enabled, they're more independent, even within the home, that frees up the carer from not breaking down and breaking down in terms of providing their care. So that is a success. So you talked about success in boiling an egg, their success is now they can feed themselves, and that goes on for the rest of their lives. So that's the sort of thing success, yeah.
And bear in mind that I know some children, especially Bangladesh community now. I can remember in 1990s, very few went to universities, and success, or prior to that, success was being able to own a restaurant, being your own boss.
Yeah,
I know in those days, an eligible bachelor would be someone who has a restaurant and who's the owner.
Yeah,
and so parents and bride, they'll be asking for, oh, does your son have a restaurant? Are they a businessman? And if it is, then they're the eligible bachelor. And then it moved down to, okay, does your son or brother or whoever has a degree?
Yes.
And that's a success.
Yes.
And so success, the datum of success, the benchmark of success,
that's right,
has evolved over the years.
Absolutely.
And nowadays, it's not just good enough having a degree. Are they working?
Yes.
What kind of job are they doing?
Yes, yes.
So where do you see this moving towards? Success. Do you see success evolving in whatever direction? How the community is moving toward success?
I think the community is moving more into a different, wider measures of success. It's no longer just, have you got a business, have you got a job, have you got qualifications. If you look at some of the successful Bangladeshis in the community, you've got community people in Bangladesh community who are now famous dancers and have got OBEs sort of thing. MBEs, exactly. So they're successful in themselves. You've got Bangladeshis who've gone on to become chief executives of Islamic banks in Britain, so there's a range of successes. But success is, I would say success in the community will be more of how you feel successful. If you have a goal and you achieve that goal, then that goal in itself is success. If you believe in that goal and you want to make that goal happen, and you've achieved it, then that's success. And if your success inspires others to follow suit or to ask your opinion or seek your advice, then that is success, I believe, in the community. And I think it's going to be more wider. And I think we mustn't forget that the success is no longer just male. You talk about eligible bachelors, but if you look at our young women, that more and more of them are not only just going to education, but they're qualifying, they're going into the world of work, they're actually holding on their own jobs, and that's in itself a success. So you'll find now more and more families, Bangladeshi community families, they're both the husband and the wife are working, and it doesn't really matter if the wife is working in a job that's only £10,000 a year, so for example, it's making a difference to the family itself. So if I could give you an example, my mother, she was a school crossing warden. Okay, so so she only worked 10 hours a week, and that was only for 40 hours a week in the entire year. But the fact that that money was coming in made sure that she was now independent. She wasn't always dependent on my father to give her money, and so she can actually buy things that she wanted to. And you can measure success in the fact that she was putting all the money away, she was saving it, and eventually the bank said, would you like to have a credit card? You have been pre-approved. Now, you know, that's
a nice sort of feeling for her, isn't it?
So that's success. You're financially now stable, and that was only, she was just working, as I said, a school crossing warden. That's only a small little job, but it made a difference. So I think that's lots of successes. I think lots of small successes that keep coming again and again and again will make it bigger, sort of thing. And
that's really interesting. I mean, you've touched something very important. The family dynamics have changed. I suppose in the British society it changed 40, 50 years ago after the Second World War. Before the Second World War, it was a man that did the breadwinning, and then the woman looked after the children. But now it came to our families as well. Again, my sisters are working.
Correct.
My daughter, my niece, and they will be working. So I suppose the family dynamics will change in a way, isn't it? To complement each other.
Absolutely.
And I suppose we have to change with the time and change with a sort of understanding.
Absolutely.
And understanding the balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so on. That's really interesting.
But don't forget, if you look at Bangladesh now and compare Bangladesh with even 20 years ago, Bangladesh society has moved quite dramatically. And if you look at recently, the World Bank made an assessment, not the World Bank, yes it was the World Bank, sorry, made an assessment of Bangladesh compared to India. And the average Bangladeshi is about $1 more wealthier than the average Indian. It's still relatively, you know, the country is still relatively poor, you say. But what he measured in success is that the things that made Bangladesh improve is that more women are going to work, more women are going to education. The nation is working. So if you look at Bangladesh garment industry, there's millions of women working in the garment industry. If you look at things like microcredit finance, which is now a global success story, that was started in Bangladesh, mostly focused on women trying to set up enterprises, and that has been successful as well. So you've got women in work, you've got women in enterprises. So if the women are in work and enterprises, then the men are in work and enterprise. And what I found in Bangladesh is that people are very busy. They're no longer, they're always working, they're doing something, and they're never just doing one thing, they're doing more than one thing. And I think that dynamic has happened. And if you look at, for example, a lot of the people who marry in Bangladesh and bring their husbands or their wives to, they're always inevitably educated. They're never sort of, well, they just come from the village. They've always passed, you know, the equivalent of GCSE, the metric as it's called, or intermediate, A-level, or they've even had come with a degree. They're already educated before they come to Britain. They pick up English much faster. So my mum had to go and do English classes and took some time before she learned English. They're already been in English medium courses, so they know what to study, they know how to speak, and so you find they're already quite smart. So if that's happening in Bangladesh, that's happening here as well. So I think there's a lot of success happening in the community, and we should celebrate that. You have to see how many of our young people are going into university. I'm not saying university is the only thing. There are a lot of them going to colleges, and a lot of them coming with qualifications. They're becoming engineers and doctors, but also even those who go into business, into the restaurant business. If you look at the restaurant business, a lot more of the restaurant businesses are more successful than they were before, because they're now thinking, you know, how to run the businesses even more professionally. It's no longer just let's make sure the curry is right on time. They're thinking of clever ways of, can we deliver, can we go, you know, vary our meals. So the community is being successful. I think we're progressing.
I suppose the marketing now is different to what it used to be.
That's right.
I can remember those days where we were distributing menus and leaflet by hands. when we were doing part-time job during the school years and college.
Yeah, exactly.
But nowadays it's different. It's all this
Yeah.
Facebook and
Absolutely,
social media
absolutely.
and so on. And we sometimes have to speed ahead with it,
Yes,
isn't it? Yeah?
yes.
We can't be left behind.
Yes.
But one thing I say, do you find that the Bangladesh we knew, I mean, you were born in you were born in UK, weren't you?
I was born in UK, but
but you travelled
yes.
in Bangladesh, and you've got good. Your wife's from Bangladesh, and you've got a good connection from. But some of us who came from Bangladesh, I mean, I came in 1982, others came in. The Bangladesh we knew is not the Bangladesh it is now, isn't it?
Correct.
And are we sort of in danger of holding on to the Bangladesh that we knew and that we're not moving with the time?
Yes.
Do you find that's the case?
I think so, and I think what you'll find is that Bangladesh is advancing again and again and again. Interestingly, though, if you speak to people, for example, I have relatives who work in the Bangladesh Civil Service, and when you ask them which country do you benchmark, which is the successful country you want, they don't say, oh, we want to be better than Pakistan, because it's like we already are better than Pakistan.
Or
they
better than India.
They say we want to catch up with Vietnam so we can get ahead to get to Malaysia, because one day we're going to become like Taiwan. And that's genuine. They genuinely know this is happening. And already, you know, international organisations like the World Bank and the United Nations have said Bangladesh is going to become a middle-income country. Now, that's fascinating in itself, because middle-income stuffing, you know, it's like Bangladesh is going to become a middle-class country. You know, so if we hold back and say, and you have this sort of, for example, a lot of, when I went in Bangladesh in 1977, which is the first time I went to Bangladesh after Bangladesh independence, and went to the village, there was no electricity in the village, full stop, okay? So there's no fans. It's kerosene lamp, hurricane lamps, you know? You've got to get to the village on a rickshaw. There's hardly any paved road. It's different. Today, it's totally radically different. You go to the village, forget the city for a minute, forget Dhaka for a minute, forget Sylhet city, forget Mulya Bazar town, just go to the village. The first thing you find in the village is Wi-Fi exists.
Oh, good.
Of course.
And sometimes Wi-Fi is better than UK, isn't
exactly, it? Exactly. And so you can watch Netflix in the village. The village has electricity. How many villages, if you go, that don't have electricity, there has to be a special reason why the village has no electricity. They will have electricity. So they will have fans, and they will have standby generators, or, you know, IPS.
Eco energy system.
Exactly. And solar power panels. So Bangladesh is now, so the fact is, if you were going to the village, you wouldn't be coming in a rickshaw, you'll be coming in a air-conditioned car or taxi. And thing is, in Bangladesh cities, Uber exists.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean? So
I haven't been for some time now. I suppose you've been there recently.
Yeah. So there is Uber, and there's different types of Uber. There's like even motorcycle Ubers. Oh. So you can go on the back of a motorcycle to get through the traffic, sort of thing.
That's very interesting.
But you can see that's
so motorcycle Uber, they beat all the
traffic. Yeah.
I don't think they've invented anything like this in UK. Have the motorcycle Uber?
Well, the thing is, in Bangladesh is innovative. So, for example, if you want to send money across to somebody in Bangladesh, you send it through your mobile phone. You go to a vendor, you give them money, they put the money credit into the phone, then you wire the information on the phone to another person's phone, and then they take the phone and then they cash it in. Now that's innovative.
I suppose this is global success, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, from individual success,
that's right,
coming to a global success.
Correct.
And it will be a day when we, the British Bangladeshi graduate who will be able to go across to Bangladesh and work for a multinational company.
Exactly.
And vice versa, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it has been one-way traffic all these years. All the talents have been drain pooled to UK and America and in Europe. We want to see those days that are the expertise of UK are going to Bangladesh. And like the Chinese,
exactly.
To China, isn't it?
And don't forget, at one time, the typical Bangladeshi would come to Britain and they would not know how to speak English. You know, the joke was yes, not, and that's it. They couldn't say anything, and people. today, if you look at the majority of Bangladeshis who've gone through the education system, they know how to speak English, or they can speak English pretty quickly. So if they know how to speak English, they can go around the world and be globally employed and useful, and they've got skills and set. So I think that's going to make a big difference. I think Bangladesh is on, getting there. It's progressing nice and steadily, and I think that's going to reflect also to us British Bangladeshis who are also progressing and making great progress in society.
That's wonderful to know. Coming back to individual, I know you've mentioned many successes you as an individual, and the reason why I am focusing back to yourselves is that having gone through years of education, work, and so on, and you've mentioned few successes that you already have. I want you to reflect on yourself. I suppose something that I want you to hold on to these questions, because we have to go for a little break.
Okay.
But once we come from the break, back from the break, I want you to reflect on yourself and see where are the hurdles for those successes. That's what we want to come back to. Yeah. Okay. Dear audience, we're going back onto our break now, and hopefully we should be back after a break, and we hope to have you back with us.
Beon TV UK, for the community, by the community. www.beontvuk.com.
It's not just about bookkeeping, it's not just about account preparation, it's providing the additional quality on top of the fundamental services that we provide.
First consultation is always free, we don't charge. We want that client to be with us for life, so we will look after them where we can. We want them to succeed. If they succeed, we succeed. That's the way we see it.
SKN Chartered Accountants, your partners for a brighter business future.
Lal Haweli Restaurant at the heart of Walsall. BBC Welsh Curry Award winning chef Abul Hussein presents most unique and amazing tawa dishes with many flavours and choices. Eat with your family and friends. A unique dining experience never to be missed. Lal Haweli, a 400-seat capacity restaurant perfect for any small parties and functions. Special seating arrangements for ladies and families with prayer facility inside. Mouth-watering tawa dishes. Join Tawa Festival at Lal Haweli. Lal Haweli, home of Tawa, 1 Midland Road, Walsall.
আইলানা ঘরের শপিং করলা না সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা গো সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা সোনার বাংলার তাজা সবজি মিঠা পানির মাছ বছর ঘুরে সওদা করে আছে মূল্য হ্রাস ওল্ডামার বার্মিংহামে সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটে ঘুরে একবার আসো না সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা গো সোনালী সুপার মার্কেটের হয় না তুলনা
সোনালী সুপার মার্কেট, লজেস রোড, বার্মিংহাম।
Welcome back, viewers. We had our short break, and we're going to start second part of our program, Be a Success. Thank you to all the audience of Beon TV and viewers in UK and across the globe for joining us. Again, I'm going to go back to our guest today, Sueb Jabbar, who's a senior manager for a local authority, and he's also been involved in many charitable volunteer organizations. Our topic today was Be a Success, and we've discussed many topics from personal success to global success to Bangladesh success, from being able to boil an egg to make a cup of tea, and so on. So I want to go back to Sueb Jabbar again, to you saying that for yourself to reflect on those barriers to success. What were the barriers to success in terms of education, in terms of career, in terms of whatever you felt that success is, because success can have a different meaning to different person. So can you reflect on an incident where a barrier that you needed to overcome to achieve to a success?
I mean, one of the barriers, for example, for me is that actually in 1969, my mum took me back to Bangladesh, spent a whole year there. Obviously, I was quite young, so he wasn't there. But because it was such a long time there, and she came back because obviously in 1960, if you know, obviously Bangladesh Independence War started. But before that, my uncle said, go back to England. You know, these things are.
Well, you were born in England.
Yeah, but we were in Bangladesh at the time. He said, go back to England because things are not
looking very good
here. So when I came to Britain, the first thing is that I had become completely Bangladeshi.
And how long did you stay in Bangladesh?
We were there for 13 months.
Oh, still 69, 13 months. Being a young boy, 13 months is a long time.
Long time.
To de-skill yourself,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
So obviously when I arrived, I didn't, I could speak English as it were, but not a lot of English. And I certainly could not read and write. It all gone because there was no point. You know, I was in the village having fun, chasing after buffaloes. I wasn't interested. So the problem there was actually trying to get through that language barrier, try to get the education. So that was a barrier. But again, I have to point out my mother helped. And my father helped a lot, because one of the things they did was, right, well, let's go and find somebody who could, after school, give you some tuition to help you.
In those days?
In those days.
And was this something your mom or your dad initiated?
They initiated. They just asked people around, and people said, well, look, you know, hey, somebody who can give them a bit of practice. So obviously, you know, the reading books and someone sit there reading, because mum and dad, English is second language, so teaching, and Dad was working. He owned a restaurant, so obviously you know he can't be there. And Mum was busy, so they helped find people who could give him tuition, even if he's sitting there and reading books and so forth. And that helped in that sort of barrier sort of thing in terms of education. In terms of barriers, for example, hindrances going into the world of work. That could be difficult because you say, have I got the right qualification? How do I get into interviews? What does this job application form say? But again, the way to get through that was actually to work with other people who already been there. So get mentoring, get people who are already experienced, people who already, say, for example, already in the council, and say, explain to me, how do I write, sort of thing. So for example, in my employers, local authority, they usually have a job description and a person specification. The trick is to look at the person specification and say, that is a question that they might ask in the interview. So answer the question. So if they say, has experience of working in a team, the question, you know, so they'll say in the job specification, experience of working in a team, the question is, give me an example of how you worked in a team. And so when you answer that in an application form, you have to write down, I worked in a team, I worked in a restaurant, and I led a team of waiters, and we delivered good service to the customers, and you know, the service was so good that there was profit at the end of the night. That's an example you put in. But you don't learn that unless somebody experienced gives you mentoring. Mentoring.
That's a really good field you've come to, because we run quite a number of mentoring sessions and mentoring project in Greater Sylhet Council. I'm being one of the Central General Secretary. We had introduced a mentoring project in West Midland region, having Bangladeshi experts and professionals linking in with undergraduates and, and college. And it's a very important point where you need mentor at whatever stage you are.
Correct.
Even being a manager, you need a mentor.
That's right.
Being a worker, you need a mentor. So whatever level you are at, you'll always need a mentor. And I suppose that mentoring system needs to be more highlighted in our community.
Absolutely.
And I say to a lot of community organizations, come forward into those and set up your own mentoring schemes.
That's right.
And that's a key vital element of success, isn't it? Yeah.
And I would say also that if you are sort of like in the community and you've made success at any level, you should offer yourself as a mentor at every level, like you say, because then you can help somebody. You know, as you pull up, you take somebody with you.
Yeah, that's a really great ideas. And I suppose barriers, you know, one of the barriers that you mentioned is getting appropriate jobs, isn't it? The job that's appropriate, that's relevant to your qualification, relevant to the practice you've received and achieved. And the barriers are being able to get the appropriate job, being able to go and have the interview. And it's no longer good enough just to state, I can do this, I can do this. No, how you do it, what are the examples? And that's suppose will come through reflection and mentoring, isn't it? Yeah.
And the thing to remember is that when you apply for a job, so just if I give an example, if you're just a recent graduate and you come, now you want to go into the world of work, the first thing to remember is if you're sort of 21, you're going to be in the world of work for at least nearly 40 years before you can retire. So that's a long journey. So rather than trying to make a quick sprint, it's going to take some time. You have to plan way ahead. The other thing to remember is that you need to be able to show whoever employs you, you have transferable skills. And often the skills are soft skills. A lot of people just focus straight away on, I must be academically brilliant, I must get A star, I must graduate with the highest. Or the thing is, that's no good if you don't know A, how to talk. Or if you come to a world of work, it's impossible in the world of work not to work with other people, whether it's customers or whether it's team members. So if you can't show you've got interpersonal skills, how you can communicate with people, how you can lead teams, how you can negotiate, how you can deal with complaints, then you're not actually going to be able to get very far. So, for example, if you become, say, want to become a lawyer, you're going to always be dealing with clients. You're going to be dealing with other lawyers. Your clients, judges or magistrates, whatever. If you're criminal, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be dealing with the police. If you're a commercial lawyer, you're going to be dealing with accountants. If you don't know how to communicate, how to work in teams and have those transferable skills, those soft skills, you're going to have difficulty just saying, well, I actually graduated top of my class, and they say, that's very good. Now tell me an example of where you've led a team. Oh, I haven't led a team. You know, that's. But the thing is, you can do that all the time through other things. And this is the point. You don't necessarily have to have a degree to be actually lead teams. You don't need to be actually in the world of work to lead teams. So, for example, if I use the graduate example, if you're as an undergraduate and you happen to be a member of the Bangladeshi society, so for example, your university has a Bangladeshi society, for example, and you're doing accountancy, if you're the treasurer of that society.
Then while at university.
You go to a world of work and they say, well, give you an example of how you've actually managed to run an organization and deal with a financial problem. You say, yes, well, actually, I was a treasurer. I had to deal with the income from the memberships. I had to make sure the membership was free. We had to pay for halls. We had to chase up people we owed, who supplied suppliers and so forth. Showing that you can actually deal with that, even though it's like a tiny little microcosm, says, right, you have the transferable skills of running a society of 30 people. You can run the accounts for a company of 300 people.
Yeah. That's very interesting, isn't it? It's finding out with a magnifying glass where those examples are, isn't it? And then even when you're a student, when you're undergraduate, these are the opportunities you can get when you're volunteering yourself, both within the university environment or in the community. And those kind of involvement in the society and so on.
Correct.
Does great help, isn't it? I mean, you're blending into what I was going to ask again next, actually. Over the years, to becoming successful, I mean, not just looking at yourself, but if you look at other members of your colleagues that you've worked with, or project that you've run, or something that you've witnessed, there are places, there are times when there's so many hindrances, and people learn from. There's so many mistakes that takes place through the journey of life, isn't it?
Correct.
The mistakes that you fall, you trip, and you get up, and you learn not to trip again.
That's right.
And then
That's
you
right.
run, then there's another hurdle come.
Yes.
So those hurdles and trips and so on that makes a person, man and woman. I'm not going to say men only, because it's women as well. Yeah,
that's right.
I suppose sometimes the women are far more versatile than the men. Sometimes.
That's right. That's right.
So, what advice can you give from your experience of seeing this hurdle? Someone who wants to start their career or start their business. What are the advice you can give to learn from those?
Well, the first thing is, if I may quote, is that success is actually a series of failures that you've got up from and moved away from. Okay, and well, experience, and that's a quote from Winston Churchill.
Oh, okay.
But there's another quote is that experience is the name we give to our mistakes.
All right.
The point is, you will fall down, you will have hurdles, things will happen.
Yeah.
The point is, what did you learn from those, and what can you do better next time around, and how do you get around it? And what I will say is to people is that if you want to do analysis of yourself in terms of success and what you're going to be, is first of all, look at your strengths. What are your strengths? If you don't know what your strengths are, ask somebody to tell you what your strengths are.
Interesting.
But the thing is, don't focus on your weaknesses. This is the problem. If you focus on weaknesses, you're just going to say, it's all my fault, nothing works right, and you get into negative, and that's the thing to do. But you need to be positive as much as possible. And the thing about that is then look at your needs. What do you need to improve in a situation? What do you need to move forward? And also look at opportunities. What other opportunities have just because you achieved something doesn't mean you shouldn't look at maybe what other opportunities you want to go for. Something. And look at the barriers. Like you just said about the barriers. The thing is, if you know your strengths and you can use your strengths to meet your needs, then those needs and those strengths will remove the barriers to those opportunities. And I think that's the very important thing, is that actually have a focus, be positive, be confident in yourself. Often, and I think this is a trait that Bangladeshis have, is that they try sometimes not to go and put their heads above the parapet and say, look how good I am, look what success I am, in case other people get too jealous and just want to cut them off, without realizing, well, why? If you are bright and successful, then keep doing that success. Obviously, if you're just going to go around boasting, well, I'm a great success, look at my fancy car because my business is doing well, people are just going to say, yeah, so what? Everyone else has a car. What's the difference? You can't, just because you've got 3 cars in the driveway, you can only drive 1 car at any one time. But the thing is, like you said about voluntary work and do success, if you do voluntary work and you are happy with it, and you've successfully helped somebody, that will make you push forward. That's the positive feedback you need to go forward. And helping in the community is a very important thing. I don't think people understand how volunteering, so you don't even have to be a graduate, you could be at school. And you can volunteer to do things. And there could be little things that you do volunteering that help the community. But the thing is, the more you give, the more you receive back. And the more you help. So for example, you and I, we're working together, we're actually peer mentors, we're helping each other. But the point is, I'm here to help you. My job in terms of networking with you is to say, what can I do to make your job better? Because if I make your job better, then it's going to make you do better, and that will mean I will do better. So we both win, rather than
win-win situation.
Win-win situation.
I suppose this is coming back to is part of our culture, part of our religious ethos, isn't it?
Yes.
Our religious ethos is you're not only looking at your best interest, you're looking at your interest and others' interests as well, isn't it?
Correct.
And I suppose some people will say, okay, if you do for others, how are you getting it?
Yes.
That's the questions
Yeah.
people may ask. But I find that myself, that when you do for others, then Allah will give you ways
Yeah.
and bless you with many
Absolutely.
items. And as a Muslim, and this is our core belief, isn't it?
Correct.
Because
The-
success.
The thing is, we could sit here for the next 2 hours and quote quotes from Hadith and Quran about all these things, you know. And the things like, for example, charity, however much charity you give, it will never make you poorer, you know.
That's it.
And the fact that giving zakat, you know, even if it's, you know, I regard the fact I have to give zakat a success because I've actually achieved some degree of wealth that I now have to give money to help somebody.
And it doesn't make you poorer, does it?
It doesn't make me poorer.
And that's you're an evidence to
Yeah.
yourself.
And don't forget that there's a quote, and it is that if you save a life, it is as if you save the world. And that's again another Islamic quotation. So maybe you haven't saved someone from drowning, but the fact you've helped save, for example, somebody who's just recently arrived, so for example, maybe they're a refugee, for example, and you've helped them get in through Britain and helped them settled in. You've helped them have a better life, so you have helped the world. Those sort of things are very important.
And you find, I mean, I especially find, I mean, doing voluntary work over last from 1990s, from an age where we went to university, started voluntary work from then. There's ways that you get help from Allah. You'd be surprised.
Yes.
And you realize that there's things that happen to your life, there's things that happen to you through those journeys. It's only Allah knows that.
Yes.
It's only Allah knows that you needed to stop at that point in order for you to save yourself from the next hurdle.
Yes.
Because if you didn't stop, you wouldn't know what hit you.
Yeah. and the thing is, I've in the past have hurdles. For example, at work, we had to go through our jobs again. You know, as part of a redundancy process, where I could have been made redundant and then unemployed, and how would I, you know, pay for the mortgage, etc., etc. Again. Family helped because I had to support the family, but faith helped because when they take everything away from you, when they're taking your home from you and the clothes off your back and the food from your table, they can't take away your faith, and that can make you move forward. And if you have a belief in and you have self-belief in yourself, you can move forward. It will help you. It anchors you down, and that's not just us just saying that sort of thing. It's actually proven research. You know, if you look at people with good mental health, whilst the people who have faith have good mental health. So even that is a useful sort of thing. So again, I agree with what you're saying. Giving onto, I think this saying, give unto God what is God's, give unto, you know, whatever it is, community what you should give. If you give to others, you will receive.
You will receive. That's a granted thing, you will receive. And over the years, the many successful people around the world, in many faith and many communities, are those who have given to the society, given to their own community, given to their own family. You never get poorer. Things, you will always get blessed. If you do it for obviously it's got to be the right reason. Selfless. It's got to be selfless giving, isn't it? Giving for the sake of Allah, and you never lose.
Well, if I give you an example of 3 people who have inspired me in their sort of careers, if you look at
that was one of my questions I was going to ask you. You're moving ahead of me. That's great. That's great.
So for example,
something that inspired you.
So if you look at Muhammad Yunus, obviously he was like myself. He studied economics, although he was a professor of economics, and he took his group of students to see rural communities, and he just came across a woman who was trying to make bamboo furniture, and she was finding difficulty to get funding to do more. She was losing out, and then he sort of cracked up. You know, he understood. Hold on a minute. If I was to give her a loan for very low interest to actually help her, she would be better off. And then that founded microcredit, which is now global and is a Bangladesh success. But he's successful. He's a Nobel Prize winner. And so there's something as a success. But the thing is, he gave. He didn't take. Then you look at somebody like, for example, Muhammad Ali. For example. Now, he was a boxer. I'm not saying I wanted to become a boxer in my career, but the point is, he wasn't just a success in the ring, he was a success outside the ring because he stood up for civil rights, he stood up for actually, he was protesting against the Vietnam War. These sort of things he did beyond, and he was a Muslim, of course, he converted and believed in unity and peace. So again, these are examples of people who have inspired, but they've worked hard, but they gave.
Sueb Jabbar, I know you've got so much to say and so much to offer. In one program alone, it's not going to be enough hours and time. But I'm hopeful, and I will request the producers for us to have this kind of show again, and to invite you again. I'm going to do that. But just briefly, what are the messages? What are your key message you can give to our audience, Beyond TV audience, on becoming successful?
Okay, I would say keeping it simple is, first of all, know your strengths, be positive, have faith in your strengths and have faith in your abilities, set a goal and try to achieve it, but not make it too big a goal, but because every time you succeed in making a goal, you can add another goal and go another goal. And always remember, just because you give doesn't mean you won't receive. Those are the things I would say in terms of being success, and inspire others and be happy.
Inspire others and be inspired.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us, Sueb Jabbar.
Thank you.
And it's been wonderful having you, and I really enjoyed having our chat.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure it will help others in the community to progress on.
So,
Dear viewers, thank you for joining us again. Be a Success is a program presented by Beon TV, and that's for you and for all the young generation Bangladeshi out there. Please join us in our next episode of Be a Success. From Beon TV and from myself, thank you very much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum. Goodbye.
অন্যায়, অত্যাচার, অবিচার, রাজনীতি, অর্থনীতি, সংস্কৃতি, ধর্মনীতি কিংবা দুর্নীতি, প্রাসঙ্গিক হয় নিয়মের জালে যা অপ্রাসঙ্গিক, যা আপনি বলতে চান, আপনারা বলতে চান, এসবেরই সমসাময়িক প্রেক্ষাপট নিয়ে আপনাদের সরাসরি অংশগ্রহণে আমি রিয়াদ আহাদ বিয়ন্ড টিভির পর্দায় আসছি নতুন অনুষ্ঠান নিয়ে। আমিও বলতে চাই, আপনারা বলবেন, আমরা শুনবো।
রিয়াদ আহাদের সঞ্চালনায় কমিউনিটির নানা বিষয় নিয়ে ভিন্ন মাত্রার অনুষ্ঠান আমিও বলতে চাই দেখুন প্রতি সপ্তাহে শুধুমাত্র বিয়ন টিভিতে। প্রযোজনায় শিপন আহমেদ।
Beon